Hey there, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Foul Territory. I'm your host, Mike Smith. We're talking awards, we're talking fall ball. It's going to be a great one. But seeing as it's All Hallows Eve, we may as well start with our autumn season. So let's check in with George Collazo, one of the main players in the Fall Ball Classic. George, how's it going, my man?
Good. How you doing, Mike?
Not too bad, not too bad. Now, I know that you've been kind of a long-time player in the league. This was my first fall ball experience. Are you someone that generally plays fall ball?
Oh, yeah. I play fall ball every season.
Well, I feel like you're one of those guys that plays in 9 different leagues during the summer. So, I mean, you're always looking for more baseball, right?
Yeah, definitely am.
So with this Indians team, I know that during the spring and summer you are with the Titans. What's the construction of the team like? Is it mostly guys that you've played with there, or are you grabbing guys from all different areas?
Well, most of us have played together somewhere over the summer, so we just wanted to combine somewhere for the fall. So the manager, Frank Rivera, he plays for the D-backs in the Metro League, so he decided to just veer off on his own and created the Indians. We started off, I thought the field together was in Albany over the Labor Day weekend, and then we just brought ourselves into the Metro League for the fall.
Oh, so you guys were like a tournament team?
Yeah.
Now, like coming into the fall ball, I mean, I know that a lot of people approach fall ball kind of like, it's almost like a sandlot league, just getting together, playing with your buddies. As the championships get closer, do you start to get that kind of competitive edge again, like, hey, fuck this, we want to win it?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. We go into every game like we want to win it. We took every game serious, fall or not.
So just in terms of your team, because I don't think we got the chance to play. I played for the Astoria Mets, who did not make it to the championship round. But just looking at your team, what are your strengths? Who would you say are your top players coming into this championship series?
Well, right now, our top pitcher has been Joe Paredes Jr. Mm-hmm. He's been carrying us the whole season, the whole full season. Every start he's given us has been, quality, and that's all we can ask for him. Our hot hitter right now, Arsenio Cardona, he's been anything you pitch, anything close to the zone, he's kind of like David Ortiz right now, so I would stay away from him.
Over the summer you're playing, it's 85 degrees. It's great. You get into the championship in fall ball here. It's November. It's starting to get a little bit colder. How does that impact you getting ready as a hitter? How does that impact the pitchers? Because that's something we don't got to deal with in the in the summer season.
Well, ideally, more stretching time is required. We would like our guys to get there early enough to do that, but a lot of guys have other things going on. Sometimes, it can't happen, but hopefully this weekend we could all be there on time, early, ready to go, no injuries, and just be prepared to, take care of business.
And before we got on the air, I mean, you were talking to me about, playing the Yankees earlier in the season. Mm-hmm. They swept you guys. Obviously, you don't have too many losses on your record. What did you see from them, and what do you think are the Yankees' strengths? And do you think that you're the same ball club that you were in week 1, or do you think that you've gotten a little bit better as the season has gone on?
Oh, we're definitely not the same. We definitely have gotten better. But they're a good team. They merged with the New York Twins, who play in the All-Borough League, which is very competitive. So they got some really good pitchers over there and guys that can hit. So they're a very formidable opponent. But I think we match up well with them, and our team chemistry has gotten stronger, and everyone's starting to click. So I think this is going to be a good series.
And just from your standpoint, what will be the key to your success if you guys want to beat the Yankees for the championship?
Pitching and defense. Because if we make mistakes, they're going to take advantage.
All right, great. Well, George, I appreciate you coming on. I wish you guys the best of luck. I wish the Yankees the best of luck this weekend. Now, it's a best-of-3 series?
Yes, it is.
All right, so that's familiar Metro League territory. So,
yep.
Hopefully I get the chance to stop down and see you guys. But again, thanks for coming on, and I can't wait to see you out there in the spring.
No problem, Mike. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care, man.
All right.
That was George Collazo of the Bronx Titans and the Fall Ball Indians, a guy with a dog in the fight, as it were. But there are a lot of other people who played fall ball that might want to weigh in on this. That's why I'm bringing on the Kaiser, Justin Hoyt. As an impartial observer to this championship series, very interested as to what he has to say. Justin was a player for the Astoria Mets last year. He's now in the Rainmakers AA team, doing a little bit of managing this year. Played some fall ball. Justin, how's it going, man?
Good, Mike. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. You know, I wanted to ask it because we were kind of in similar circumstances this fall. You went from being an all-star player for the Mets to jump into the Rainmakers, taking on more managerial role. I, on the other hand, was a manager who was just a player this fall. What was the experience like for you taking that next step, getting a little more involved in the organizational process?
Well, Mike, it's been really challenging so far, and I've been doing it all fall, and I still feel like I'm just starting to get the hang of it. There are myriad challenges in managing and playing. I think it's because the two derive from two different parts of the brain completely. Managing is all about organization and planning for contingencies, left side of the brain, whereas playing, I think, is more of a right side of the brain based activity where visualization is the key. And the two just don't work out very well when you try to mix them. For example, my first game in the fall with the Rainmakers, playing and managing, I was in the field and hitting, and my first couple of bats in the batter's box, I was thinking about, how am I going to get that guy into left field later in the game? What if the score's tied? What if we're winning by a lot? Who's going to play first if so-and-so comes in to pitch? Next thing I know, I'm back to the bench after 2 week at-bats. And that was the last time that I played a full game in the field and tried to manage a lineup. It's just too difficult, and at a certain point, you almost have to pick one over the other. And it made me really appreciate what the guys for my Mets team last year were able to do. Rob, Steve, and Francisco. Not only were they playing in the field and hitting, but they were doing a superb job of running a well-organized team. It's really hard. At the end of the day, you want a competitive team that plays really hard for you, but also you want an organized team that shows up, that pays on time, and where you know what you're getting out there. So those are some of the challenges, balancing both at this point.
Now, I know that you and Antonio, who managed the Rainmakers last year, started the Rainmakers, working together. A lot of teams use fall ball almost as a tryout process for the spring, summer season. Did you get the sense that you guys were looking at some dudes that you brought in? I know you don't want to get into specifics, but, did you start to get an idea of guys that you want to take a look at maybe in the springtime that played on your fall team?
Absolutely. We got a mix of crafty veterans who came in for the fall. We brought in, as many people are starting to hear, we brought in a couple of young pitchers with lights out type stuff, big time arms, younger kids who are still working on the mental side of the game, but who obviously have the talent to blow through the league, and as well as some of the Rainmaker usual suspects. So it was definitely a tryout, more or less, and definitely to see how the players interacted with each other and played together. It's not just about talent. It's about how the team functions together, who played what. A lot of people had to leave their usual positions, including myself and a few others, for the benefit of the team. So, it took about all fall, but we're just starting to get the feel of where we're going with it for next year.
And one of the things about being a manager, I think you start to become a little bit more aware of the guys that you're playing against, jumping now from the single A to the double A, seeing some of these double A guys in action. Was there anybody on other teams who impressed you with what they were able to do this fall?
Sure. Two guys come to mind from the fall. I believe he plays left field for the Rockies, Justin Gonzalez. Also well known for his large beard. It's pretty much Napoli at this point. That guy can really just flat out hit. I didn't see a weakness all fall. And I watched a lot of games too to try and speed up the process of learning who the names are, how the teams are, and all that. The guy can just flat out hit, and he plays a pretty decent outfield. But you don't see too many hitters like that in single A. And then he's not on another team, but Amani Harris on the Rainmakers, I think he sat out 2013. But brought him
Yeah,
on for the
I
fall
remember
to
him from 2012. I think he played with the Empire Blue Jays.
Okay. Yeah, he's definitely he knows how to play baseball. We brought him in to play center field, and not only did he play lights out in center, but at the dish and running the bases. The guy had a close to 800 on base percentage, no exaggeration. And every time he'd get a single, he'd be moving around the bases. It would be like the functional equivalent of a double or triple every single time. Smart player, talented player. He's someone to look out for next year.
Now, we got the fall championship coming up this weekend. I didn't have the benefit of seeing all the teams. I was away this fall. I know that you got a chance to see both these teams. How do you think they match up? Who do you see taking the fall ball championship here?
Tough call. I did not get to play against the Indians this year, but I watched them play against the third or fourth place finishing Rockies in a 2-game set. And my Rainmakers actually lost to the Yankees in the semifinal round just a few days ago. So I'm quite familiar with them, especially over a 9-inning game. The Yankees came out, a lot of chatter, a lot of patent confidence. But as the game went on, well, in that game, I have to give you a little description of that game for it to make sense. But they came out all cylinders firing. They scored 7 runs in the first 2 innings, and we were down 7-1 after 2. And they got louder and louder. They had music going out from the dugout. A very confident, well-oiled bunch. But then as soon as we started putting runs on the board, we made a game of it. It got back to 7-5, and they got about as quiet as a library. And it showed in their defense. They were a little bit tense, and the pitchers started getting a little bit more wild. They managed to beat us and hang on, but they weren't as mentally tough as you would think after watching the first 2 innings. And that's relevant because watching the Indians play a 2-game set against the Rockies, who I thought might have taken the whole thing. Indians lost game 1 of that set, and a lot of teams would just give up at that point, especially late in the season, knowing that their playoff seeding is going down the toilet. But they came back and beat the Rockies in a pretty dominant Game 2 performance. You got a lot of the Double-A veterans on that team. It's kind of a hodgepodge match. But I can't go through all the names now, but you got a lot of guys that are experienced in this league. They know how to hit good pitching, how to stay tough late in a close game. I think at the end of the day, I'm going to go with a tougher team here, and I think the Indians are going to pull one out probably over 3 games because the Yankees are still a talented bunch, and I think they're going to win at least one of the games there. But I do think the Indians are tougher for a best-of-3 type series.
Well, you heard it here. It might not be a Ron Darling pick, but a Justin Hoyt pick, the Indians in 3. So, Justin, we'll see if that plays out the way you say. And, I appreciate having you on. And best of luck next year, sliding into the whole manager role. I know better than most that it's pretty much a thankless job, but somebody's got to do it.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Take care, man.
All right.
Well, that was enough fall ball talk. Now it's time to talk about award season, which is coming up very shortly. Here to talk with me about that, Sami Akleh from the championship-winning New York Storm. Sammy, how's it going, brother?
I like the sound of that, Mike. Championships, New York Storm. I like the sound of that.
You guys been enjoying yourselves?
Oh, we've had a good time with the trophy. We've taken it out a couple times. We made an appearance at the All-Star game. Looking back on it, some of us still can't believe that we actually got to the mountaintop. So it's been a surreal experience, to say the least.
Well, I mean, you guys definitely earned it. Through your play on the field. Now it's time to talk about some stuff that will be decided by people off the field, and that's the awards. And this is always a big time for the Metro League. As I understand, we're having a a very big production this year. It's going to be a little bit different than the award ceremonies in years past. So why don't we start off with looking at who you think the Double-A award winners are going to be, and let's start in the Bronx Manhattan division. And I guess first we got to go with Cy Young. So Sammy, who's your pick for Cy Young in the Bronx Manhattan?
I got to go with Ryan Smith of the Bears. Just you look at the numbers, they just pop out at you. They're just dominant numbers. 74 innings, 146 strikeouts. He's got 10 wins and 11 games started, and an ERA of .57. That's just, to have an ERA almost under half a run in an inning. That's ridiculous. And he's clear cut. Padilla comes in a close second. I've seen Padilla. Haven't really seen Smith, but things I've heard of Smith are just velocity wise, he's just tops in the league. His numbers just clear cut above everybody else.
So that brings us to the MVP, and I know that you've been looking at the stats and everything. Who's your choice for the MVP from the Bronx Manhattan division?
It's somebody that I've heard a lot about, and it's somebody that I really the first time I met him was in the All-Star game this year. His name has been bandied about the league a ton. George Collazo of the Bronx Titans. To me, his numbers are right there. You look at the batting average at .415. Easily in the top 3 RBIs. He's got 22 RBIs, 27 hits in 21 games. The guy's a stud. Met him at the All-Star game. He's great personality, great guy. I can see why they love him there on the Titans. Approach at the plate is fantastic. Doesn't expand the strike zone. Stays there within himself, and he's got a ton of power from the right side. Had 3 home runs, which tied anybody in the league. He's right there up there with the top hitters. George Collazo is definitely, there are a lot of deserving guys, but George Collazo stood out to me as the top guy in that league from an all-around standpoint, from a power, run producer, consistent hitter. Definitely George Collazo is the one that stands out to me in that division.
Well, actually, I had George on earlier to talk about some fall ball. I'm sure that he will appreciate your vote of confidence for him. It seems to me that, in knowing George, he's about the closest thing the Metro League, and you're going to hate this, has to a Big Papi. He's that type of player, that type of personality, and I think everyone loves him, and I think he's definitely a deserving MVP candidate. But here's one thing I wanted to bounce off you. What if Smith was also the MVP? I was looking at his stats, and the Bears only won 4 games that he did not start on the mound. So, what are your thoughts on the whole pitcher as MVP debate?
I honestly didn't even look at their record, the Bears' record, relative to Smith's record. I didn't know that they had 10 out of their 14 wins. So, when it's that substantial, I think you can make a huge case for a pitcher being a dual MVP and Cy Young candidate. The only thing I have is that the guys on the field, we're playing doubleheaders. So some of these guys are playing 14 innings, whereas a pitcher, he may pitch a complete game, 7 innings the whole day. So, I think the Cy Young has its realm, and the MVP award has its realm. But you can make a case when a pitcher is so dominant and so crucial to a team's win-loss record, the way Ryan Smith has been for the Bears. You can honestly make a case that Ryan Smith can be both. I just think that there are hitters that are instrumental to their teams as well, and without them, there would be an effect on their win-loss records. So you can make that case. I just choose to leave pitchers in their realm and hitters in theirs.
Well, you know what? I mean, that's an excellent point, and George is one of those guys that wore a lot of hats for his team. I know that, if they're short a catcher, he's behind the plate, he plays first base, which is also versatility is something that's got to come into the equation. So.
And he's most likely one of their team leaders too. So he's probably an on-field guy that keeps them going. So that plays a huge part of this.
All right, so now something that's a little bit harder to qualify, but what about your manager of the year from the Bronx Manhattan division? Much
tougher for me to decide on that. with the way the league was structured last year. It was a much different structure, whereas there was a Manhattan Bronx division. This time was just Bronx Manhattan squeezed into it with new management. Certain teams weren't there. So I'm just going to go with chalk. I'm going to go with Pete Alvarez of the Diamondbacks. They had the best record in Bronx Manhattan division. They got through the playoffs. They swept every single one of their teams in every single one of their rounds. They were, shoulders head above, whoever their competition was. So I'm going to go with Pete Alvarez of the Diamondbacks. And on a side note, they had swept every single round, and when they got to the championship series, Pete wasn't there. And they made a couple costly managerial decisions in game that I thought that we took advantage of. And speaking to Pete at the All-Star game, he found out about some of the moves that were made during the series, and he had said that he would have done this, and that, and I completely agree with him on the moves that he suggested. So he was a huge loss for them during the championship series, and I can see that he was a huge piece to their success. So I'm going to have to go Pete Alvarez of the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. I mean, Pete has been with that team for so long. I mean, the D-backs are Pete Alvarez, and he's done it with a lot of talent. He's done it with 9 guys. I think he's a guy that's definitely deserving of some recognition in the league. So I think that's
definitely
a good
definitely
call
got some great. Definitely got a baseball mind as a baseball guy. So yeah, huge piece of that team.
All right, now shifting over to our neck of the woods, the Brooklyn Queens division.
Brooklyn Queens, holla back!
2 year champions in a row, and we had the Braves. Last year you had you guys this year, so it looks like Brooklyn Queens is on the upswing. Obviously this is a division which we are much more familiar with. So let me get your idea on the Cy Young race. Who you think is the front runner here?
I'm gonna go with your guy. I'm gonna go with Chris Legal of the Mud Hens. We faced him twice. He was a tough guy on the mound, bulldog type of pitcher, as you know. Mike, hit his spots, was great. Had 8 wins on the season, the most in the Brooklyn Queens division. Had a spot on ERA with 1.70. Strikeout per inning, 68, actually more than that, 68 to 66, 4 complete games. Tough guy on the mound, great guy to have as a teammate. Met him at the All-Star game, got to talk to him for a bit. Legal really had a great year for you guys. Definitely my Cy Young candidate for the Brooklyn Queens side.
No, I mean, and this is funny because I'm playing devil's advocate and I'm talking about your guy. I mean, I think that if you look at regular season stats, yes, Legal had the best stats, had the best regular season, but you have a guy in Mike Pena who, I don't want to say struggled through the regular season, but didn't put up the stats that we're used to seeing from Pena. And then once the postseason rolls around, this guy becomes a Superman.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say Pena, but I want to take the regular season into account, take it as a whole. Legal actually pitched a great game against us. It was a tough luck loss, but Mike was definitely up there. I think if you want to add in playoffs, 5-0. He didn't give up more than 3 runs in any start. He actually won 2 games against the Pirates in the first round. He was a huge piece. Without him, we wouldn't have gotten where we were. So yeah, Mike is definitely up there in the conversation. I just felt, we needed to, bring the regular season into it as well.
Fair enough. And now this one is probably going to be one of the most hotly debated topics, just based on the people who are vested in who wins this. But your pick for MVP, who do you got?
Yeah, Mike, this was tough. The MVP against Brooklyn Queens side. The talk about MVP. You had so many great hitters. There were so many great hitters from Pisani, from BQE, from B. Howe. You had so many guys deserving of this award. Jimenez from the Pirates. But I looking at the numbers, all around, if we look at an all-around offensive point of view, I'm going to have to go with Capabianca from the Brooklyn Bandits. Just a phenomenal season all around, from the batting average to the RBIs to the steals. He had 13 stolen bases. Ties, he's right up there with the top stolen base guys while driving in 24. I mean, that's a tremendous all-around season. I mean, and batting .471. and playing dual hats, playing catcher, and I know he played in the field at third base sometimes. Just a great season all around.
Well, I mean, and that's one thing that I want to ask you. Obviously, you being one of those guys that dons the tools of ignorance, as it were, do you have a soft spot in your heart for a guy who can catch and call a game and then do what he's done offensively as well? I mean, does that factor into it? Playing that, seeing that he plays premium positions.
Absolutely, it definitely for me it factors in. Because playing, being behind the plate is takes a huge physical toll. So, I've had games where I've caught one and then DH and my legs were jelly-legged, and I'm sure Kappa felt the same way, and having to play play third after probably catching a game is tough, and it looks like it didn't stop him at all. Premium position like catcher is a tough position to play, and it looks like he put it together offensively and was a huge piece for them defensively with his versatility. So I'm definitely going to have to go with Kappa, but there were so many guys that were deserving, so many guys. Pisani batted .536. I would have loved to have seen. I would have loved to have faced him in that playoff matchup against BQE, but he just wasn't there. But yeah, there were so many guys deserving. But if I had to look at it all around, I'm going to have to go Capobianco here.
Well, you know what? I can't argue with the pick about Cap. I mean, he had a tremendous season. I know from a personal standpoint, there was no hitter that we feared more, and Brian Howard included, hitting a god-awful triple off us in a big spot. But there was no guy that we hated to face more than Pisani for the past 2 years. That guy, obviously, what I like about him is he's a power guy who also hits for a high average. I mean, he's playing on another level. Just from a managerial standpoint, I think it's probably easier to get Cap out than Pisani from my pitcher's standpoints. So I might go with Pisani there, but I can't fault you for the Capobianco pick.
I couldn't disagree. I couldn't argue with your pick either. I mean, like I said, there was 3 or 4 guys in the Brooklyn Queens division that just put up tremendous numbers that could easily be the MVP. It could have gone either way. But yeah, Pisani, it looks like 536 with 2 homers, 18 RBIs. Power hitter that can hit for average. It's pretty incredible.
And then finally, and I'm pretty sure I know where you stand on this one. We're looking at manager of the year from the Brooklyn Queens division. For my money, it doesn't go to anybody else but Pardo. Perhaps you would like to disagree with that?
I was speaking to Pardo about this earlier today, and I was actually messing with him and told him that I wasn't going to nominate him, that I was going to go with whoever ran the Baisley Pirates. But no, I got to go with Pardo. He's without him, the way he keeps us organized, the way he keeps us focused, he does a tremendous job finding talent. He keeps us organized. I mean, the one thing I can say, I mentioned this earlier, the D-backs seemed a little bit unorganized in that championship series, and I think it was the loss of not having Pete Alvarez there. And Pardo has been here, from the start, and he's always been the guy to keep us organized, keep us focused, gets us ready to go, takes care of the league stuff so players don't have to worry about it. I have to go with Anthony here. He definitely deserves it for the job that he did this year.
Well, actually, you know what? When I said that, I had nobody else in mind other than Anthony. But you did bring up a good point, and I think that Jose did a phenomenal job with that Pirates team. That was a team that came in with, a lot of other guys didn't expect too much from them this year, and they really overachieved, and I think he's a big part of that. But I feel like, with your playoff run, with the fact that you guys, snuck into the postseason and then went on that run, he's got to be the guy that credit is given to. So I can't say enough about the job that he did this year.
No, he was. We like to do this collectively between me and him, but I'm more focused on what's going on in the field. He's the one that takes care of all the other stuff around us to keep us focused on the field. So without him, I don't think we get to where we need to be or where we've been. He's been instrumental. And he's been such a huge asset to the league itself. He definitely deserves it, and I can't wait to give him that award once the awards dinner rolls around.
Well, that's assuming I don't stuff the ballot box and vote
Oh,
myself.
we'll stuff
in there.
it. Oh, we're gonna find a way. We're gonna get all those Storm guys over there. And we're gonna ransack that ballot box.
All right. Well, Sammy, I definitely appreciate you coming on. You gave us some great insight into what to look forward to at the league awards party. I believe we're calling it the Metros this year, kind of
The
like
Metros.
The
Yeah, and the new format sounds great. We're gonna have our own little spot. It's gonna be at a swanky hotel. It's gonna be cool. I mean, I can't wait. It sounds exciting.
I want to do a best dressed, like one of those fashion things. The next
Yeah,
day.
we should definitely do that. We also got to put on, we got to get some new categories in there, like the most clumsiest player in the league or something like that. We need to spice it up a little bit. I think we can come up with something.
All right, man. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on, and again, congratulations on the championship, and I can't wait to see you guys next spring.
Absolutely, Smitty. Thanks for having me on, man. Really appreciate it.
All right, take care, man.
All right, man. Later.
That was Sami Akleh from the Storm, obviously one of the more colorful characters in the league. Great guy. Glad to have him on. I think we covered a lot of ground tonight. Talked about some fall ball, talked about some awards, but now it's time to get ready for winter. Stay healthy, stay happy, and keep it between the lines.